Hey, previously we implemented the backend API support for a known addresses endpoint. Now we're going to use this endpoint in the front end to display a list of known addresses when the user wants to conduct a transaction. So let's add this in the conduct_transaction.js endpoint. At the top of the file, we're going to add a known addresses part to the state. So after recipient and amount, we'll also include a key of known addresses. And this will start out as an empty array. And now in a component did mount, let's make sure that we fetch the known addresses from the backend. We'll call fetch. We're going to use a string that consists of the document.location.origin, and this will go to /API/known-addresses. Cool. The return value of the fetch is a promise, which we can handle with a .then chained method. This has its own callback function, which allows us to get the JSON, or rather the response first of all, which has its own response.json promise, which means we have a second .then handler, which then has the actual JSON, which we'll use to set the state of the known addresses to that JSON response. Nice. Now we should have a known addresses array from the overall backend by making this fetch request. With this, let's render some new UI within the application. At the top of the file, before the conduct transaction form, let's render a new header 4 element. So h4 that says known addresses. And on second thought, it might be nice if this known addresses part was underneath the bigger conduct a transaction title. Let's also provide some break elements as well. And now we can iterate through the known addresses in the state by using this .state.knownAddresses.map. And one known address at a time, we're going to return sim.jsx to make this known address appear as text in the conduct transaction form. So overall, for every known address, let's return a new div. The key for this div is going to be the known address itself. After all, it should be a unique value. The text is going to be known address, so known address. And let's surround this in its own div as well, within the overall div of the known address JSX section. And what this does is it allows us to make break elements in between every single address. All right, very nice. Finally, let's add another break element before the first form group to separate the known addresses from the actual inputs. All right. Once you have that overall JSX change, as well as a change for the component did mount in the state, go ahead and save the file. You'll probably have the application already going in the background, but if not, fire npm run dev. And now in the browser, visit the actual application. And then in the conduct a transaction page, we have this list of known addresses that we can use for recipient values. All right. So now that there's a known addresses section available, it should be the perfect way to discover actual addresses to make transactions and interact with. Cool. With this improvement down, let's move on to supporting a paginated blocks endpoint. That way our frontend will be equipped to display blockchain data, even as this significantly scales in the future.